Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is where you are, and welcome back to the Annoy Dad channel. Today we're going to talk about chickens and the law, as you would have seen by the title of this video. So first up, let's just do some caveats, shall we, to start off with. Number one, I am just some bloke on the internet who has recorded this video, and I am based in England, and a lot of what I say is going to be related to England, and it's going to be related to the time at the recording. So it is September 2022. So just remember that as we go forward. So a lot of people who want to start keeping birds, they straight away don't want to get themselves into any trouble or cause any issues or any problems, and they want to know, you know, are there any specific laws relating to keeping poultry? Now, some people class rules that are imposed by the local council as being laws and other bits and pieces like that. But for the purposes of this, we'll refer to laws as Act of Parliament, so stuff which has gone through the Houses of Parliament, MPs have voted on it, and it's written up in the statute books and all of that lot. And specifically regarding the keeping of birds, is there any laws? Is there an Act of Parliament? No, there isn't. There is, however, something called the Allotment Act of 1954. So the Allotment Act of 1954, in that it says that if you rent a piece of land, that you are allowed to keep chickens on it unless the owner of that land specifically states within the rental agreement that you cannot do so. And that is about it in terms of what is on the statute books within England for being able to keep animals on your land. So if you say rent an allotment off of the local council, that may well say in there, in your agreement, that you cannot keep chickens. But again, it might also not mention it at all. And if it doesn't mention it at all, then according to the Allotment Act, you are allowed to keep chickens, or I believe it refers to hens because it is only the female birds. You are allowed to keep them on your allotment, and that's perfectly legal and allowable unless your agreement says that you can't. Now, some people take that little piece of wording and they turn around and they use it when they rent a house, if they're renting a farm, if they're renting an equestrian place, if they're renting other places. And I have read other places online where certain people have used that to be able to turn around and say, well, actually, I'm allowed to because you didn't state in the agreement that I couldn't. So, yeah, that is one thing. So next up, we're going to look at another aspect of the land itself, and for this you need to get hold of a copy of the deeds for the land, and the deeds for the land in England are available from the Land Registry, and you're able to go onto the Land Registry website and you can pay £3 as it stands at the minute, and you can download a copy of the deeds for the land. Now, you're able to do this for anybody's land, so if you're looking at maybe buying a bit of land or maybe renting a bit of land and you just want to check things out and see what is in there and what sort of stuff it says, what you're able to do is you go onto the Land Registry website, you pay the £3 as I just said, you get the deeds, you download them and you look at them. And in there might be restrictions that say it can't be used for agricultural purposes, or that it must only be used for agricultural purposes. It might say that you cannot keep any animals on the land, that you cannot keep horses, or that you cannot keep any kind of like poultry or anything else like that. Or it might say nothing at all about any restrictions whatsoever. So for our land here, we do have a couple of covenants within the title deed, and they all refer to the pylon. It refers to allowing access for the maintenance people, that they are basically allowed access at any time to come in and basically work on it and do what they have to do. If at any point they have to come in and they cause any damage, that they are responsible for putting it all back right again and it also relates to the height of the land underneath the wires, and what I'm allowed to do and how close to the wires any buildings, any structures, any trees are allowed to get. So yeah, that's my one. But as I say, I have seen other ones where there have been some quite strange things in there as to what you actually are and aren't allowed to do on that bit of land. And if you go down the route of going, oh, it'll be all right, nobody will know, and then a person does get involved, it can get quite expensive having to go through the lawyers and the solicitors and everything and getting all of it sorted out. So anyway, that's that. That's another thing to check for. So once we've gone through and we have checked that, let's say we're renting somewhere, so the landowner allows us to keep stuff on the land. 2, we're allowed because there's no restrictions via any covenants that are on the land. And 3, there's nothing locally which has been imposed by the local council because they've got annoyed with somebody who had 27 cockerels on there in the past, and you're surrounded by 30 houses and everybody all complained, and the local council turned around and said you can't keep them on there anymore. That does happen on occasions. So once we've gone through all of that, and we've made sure that we are allowed to put up the houses and that, because we're not within an Article 4 or like a conservation area or an AONB or anything else like that, so we're allowed to do what we're doing, and we go ahead and we do it. God, don't my yard look a mess, but that's because we had a massive cage in here that's just been taken down, and we got everything just here just to tidy up basically. So once we've gone through all of that and we decided that yes, we are going to get some birds and we are allowed to get birds, what do we have to do next? And the next thing is that we need to think about, does our flock need to be registered? Now, registering, you can do it voluntarily without any issues whatsoever. You can just go ahead and do it straight away, and I would recommend that you do go ahead and you register your flock. If you get to the stage where you have over 50 birds on your property, now that includes hens and cockerels, that includes chickens, geese, ducks, turkeys, pigeons, pheasants, I think it's quail as well, partridges, guinea fowl, I think that's it. If you've got more than 50 of them all together on your land, you have to legally register with the APHA, the Animal and Plant Health Agency. Now, yes, this is a government organisation, but no, there's no big conspiracy to try to get this information and that information and whatever out of you. What it does is it allows them to know where the larger flocks of creatures are, and especially with the avian flu that's going around at the minute, it allows them to send you alerts if there's anything within your area. So I know at the time of recording this, they've just placed a restriction zone on the whole of Norfolk, whole of Suffolk and parts of Essex, which if you're registered, you would have got the text updates, you would have got the email updates, and you would know exactly what is going on there. So as soon as you reach the level of the 50 birds, you must register. But if you're under 50 birds, just go ahead and register voluntarily anyway. So the final thing we will talk about is that there is one final law that you really should be aware of when you're keeping birds and what you're doing with them, is that you cannot feed them kitchen scraps. It isn't allowed. So you might think that you've made a Sunday roast, say, even though they said in the paper the other day that nobody makes a Sunday roast anymore, but you might have made a Sunday roast and you got all of your veg peelings, and it might have been that Uncle Jimmy came around and he didn't eat all of his and he left over some spuds and some carrots on his plate, and you might have ordered like a Chinese takeaway as well the night before and you didn't eat all of the rice from it. So, you know, it doesn't really matter, does it? You know, you just gather up all of those scraps, put them in a bucket, bring them down for the birds, chuck them in. They love it, they eat it. Oh yeah, gets rid of it. Recycling, isn't it? It's illegal. Don't do it. It's not allowed. It was stopped many years ago because of BSE, the stuff within cattle, which was then spread to humans as the CJD, Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, and they realised that feeding animal products to animals when the animals wouldn't normally eat them isn't the best thing to be doing. It's not allowed. You're not allowed to feed them your scraps from your kitchen. However, if you go into Tesco's and you buy a lettuce, or you buy like a loaf of bread or anything else like that, and bring it down and feed it to them, that's fine. No issue at all with that. But your kitchen scraps, you cannot feed them. It's not allowed. And I get into arguments so often with people over Facebook and on other things where they turn around and they say, no, you're wrong, it doesn't make any difference, I do it all the time. No, if you get caught, you will be fined. And it's just not worth it. And you don't want to make your flock ill, you know, just give them layers pellets. They'd be more than happy with that. That's what they need. And give them somewhere like this just to be able to scratch around and explore and do things in. So there we go. That is basically covering the basics of the law on keeping chickens, geese, ducks, turkeys. All applies all across the board for the lot of them. If you want to keep them, those are the basic things that you need to check and just make sure. Now, that is just like a very basic check, and I know we could have gone into further details over things like animal welfare, animal safety. There's various things we could have looked at there, but you know, that's like going further into stuff and exploring, and you're going off on tangents and everything else like that. So is there anything major that I have missed? If there is, put it down in the description below. Is where you come from, is there anything specifically relating to the keeping of chickens? If there is, put down in the comment section below, in the comments, where you come from and what that law is, and it'll just let other people know, you know, if there's something weird, you know, if like people in, I don't know, Outer Mongolia have to keep 20 chickens, or if people in Indiana aren't allowed to keep chickens, you know, just leave it down in the comment section below. And thank you so much for watching. Please do like, comment and subscribe, and you will see how over this winter, the winter of 2022 to 2023, we are just basically going to be redoing this whole area and improving stuff for the birds, because it's about time that we did, and we got the bit of impetus to actually get it done. So thank you so much for watching, and until the next video, bye bye.